Thank you everyone for coming. As you know, if you are here, this is how to break into angel investing. So over the hour, we're just going to cover a couple main things like how do you become an accredited angel investor? What's the difference between angel investing and VC? What is overall just like things to look at with COVID? How has this changed? What to look for? So hope you guys like the questions that we're asking, but like Stephanie said, if you do have any questions, feel free to just direct them to the chat. Awesome. So I'll start off with a quick little intro to myself. My name is Nyla Brewster. I am a junior from Harvard, and I study social studies and computer science. So I spent my past summer working at a venture capital firm, so kind of adjacent to angel investing. So I'm incredibly excited to learn a little bit more from our amazing panelists. I am dialing in today from Hawaii, so it is 2 in the morning for me. So apologies if I sound tired, but I'm doing my best here. I'm going to give you a very, very brief introduction to each of our panelists, and then in our first question, they're going to give you a bit more about their background and how they got into angel investing. Awesome. So firstly, we have Vicky Davis. She's the Executive Director of Youth Cities and an angel investor at Beacon Angels. Secondly, we have Jermaine Gurr. She is a partner at White & Case. And then lastly, we have Mike Bernfeld, an entrepreneur and angel investor. So I'm going to turn it over to you three to address our very first question. So tell me a bit more about yourself in the one-line bio I just gave everyone and explain how you got your intro to angel investing. And so anyone can feel free to start off, and then you guys can just popcorn off each other.
Sure, this is Trey. I'm an attorney, as Nana said, at White & Case. I principally work on corporate transactions, and through that, I have been able to extend my career into venture capital and angel investing, mostly with investors that are focused on companies at an incubator stage or seed stage at a very early on stage to get into the company and help both partner from an investment and dollars point of view, but also from a strategic point of view to see how larger companies can help partner with these smaller businesses to help them in their strategic growth path. And looking forward to speaking to all of you today.
Vicky, you want to go ahead?
Sure, thank you. My name is Vicky Wu Davis. I am a tech and social entrepreneur and also an angel investor. I've been an entrepreneur for probably a little over 20 years. A lot of my focus is in software, education, telecommunications. About 7 or 8 years ago, I became an angel investor. I've been with Beacon Angels for about that time, and I actually recently joined TBD Angels as well. So I'm part of 2 different angel groups.
And hi, folks. My name is Mark Bernfeld. I'm an, as you can tell, experienced business person. I've been doing business for a long time. I did large business for a while, realized that I liked smaller companies better. I own a few businesses and was having fun with that. But about 10 years ago, realized that I was a little tired of being CEO, and I thought there might be a better way. So I started looking into angel investing. I'm now invested in about 35, maybe even close to 40 different companies. As an angel investor, I work out of Launchpad Venture Group, which is the largest angel group in the Northeast with about 150 members. I'm also a partner at Clean Energy Venture Group, which focuses on clean tech investments. And I'm also like the founder manager of Dartmouth Angels, which is the angel group affiliated with Dartmouth College. So I do a lot in the angel area. Work on a number of boards. I'm actually the co-founder of a startup called MentorWorks, which is doing very well. And I teach at Northeastern University. I teach entrepreneurial finance. I also do some teaching in the economics department up at Dartmouth College, and I'm on the board of Dartmouth's Entrepreneurship Center. So very active in the angel community, and looking forward to today's panel.
Awesome. Thank you guys all for those wonderful introductions. So I think we can just get right into our very first question. So how do you guys decide who or what companies to invest in? So I think a couple of things that might be important to touch on for the audience is just what's the most important thing you guys look for, and what's the biggest red flag that you might notice when looking at any companies or founders and stuff like that.
So I'm happy to jump in first. You know, it's trite because everyone says this, but team is the most important thing. You know, if you, a great team can solve any problems, and a bad team is going to struggle with even a great product and a great business. So, but what team means is really hard, and that takes more than this hour session to define. I have my own kind of versions of what team means, and it includes competitiveness, intelligence, ability to be coached, diversity, passion, all sorts of things. And team is just number one, right? I want all sorts of other stuff, business stuff too, go to market, business model. I want to solve a big problem, but that's kind of, I want all those things. And fortunately, there's lots of startups out there that meet a lot of those criteria.
Yeah, I'm big on the team as well. I think there's usually kind of two schools of thought as far as where angels place their emphasis. There's the school of thought of you know, placing the emphasis on the team, so that you know, with all the unexpected you know, events that happen in an entrepreneur's life, that they can adjust and adapt with that. But there's also another point of view where if there's a strong pain point, some angels prefer to look at how strong that is, you know, and then depending upon what happens, some people may feel that the team can be kind of reconfigured to address a very strong pain point and a very strong market. I think that question also, as far as what angels place on importance, has something to do with what type of angel investor you are talking to. So there's a number of factors that I'm sure you're going to be getting into, but I just wanted to touch upon that, you know, whether it's in, you know, what stage, because even an angel investor is sort of a little bit of a broad term. How early stage of an angel round is it? Is it slightly later stage? Is it an individual angel, or is it an angel group? And then what are sort of the cultures and the philosophies within those angel groups? So I think a number of those things will affect the nuance of what's important to an angel, you know, when somebody's looking for funding.
And just to piggyback off what everyone has already mentioned, you know, as an attorney looking and supporting investors doing some angel investing, you know, the topic usually begins after the business conversations on due diligence, and key criteria, as has already been reiterated in due diligence at that early of a stage, is management team, and, you know, the business plan, and then is there anything about the business or the strategy or how it has started, because sometimes starting a business can create some footfalls that signal any particular red flags. You know, is there an IP issue that can be overcome, or did someone start off getting into a lot of debt that we might have to work out? So due diligence focused on management, business, and any other key red flags is always a topic to consider early on.
So, and one of the real advantages of being part of a group is that whole red flag identification process. On your own, and I've done some diligence on my own, that can be hard to figure out. But when you're with 20, 30, 40 other people, those red flags come out more easily.
Mark, do you mind elaborating a little bit on this idea of a group? And I know that Vicky, you had also mentioned being a part of an angel investing group, but what would you say are the pros and cons of being in a greater angel investing group? And also, like, for those in the audience who might be interested in joining one, how would they go about doing that?
There's lots of great groups around the country. If you're not in Boston, there's something called the Angel Capital Association, which can help you identify angel groups in your vicinity, because oftentimes it's easier to work in your own vicinity when we're not in COVID and lockdown. But the things an angel group does, it provides structure with regular meetings, and it provides deal flow because lots of companies are applying to an angel group. It provides other great people to meet with and discuss opportunities with. I don't always agree with other members, but I always value their input, and it really helps me in making my decisions. So all those are really important for me. Anything you want to add? Because I know, Vicky, you're in different groups. What do you think?
Yeah, so I agree with that. I prefer to invest in a group. I think that, you know, for whatever, you know, level of experience I have, whether operationally or as an investor, It certainly helps to, multiply that with multiple smart people who have different backgrounds, whether it's industry expertise, functional expertise, just another perspective on whether something is a sound investment. And I actually like disagreements because it prompts me to dig deeper into how I feel and what my thoughts are. I can, be turned on to a different point of view that I might not have thought of and realize that it's a red flag after it's been pointed out. Or I might be able to solidify my own stance on it and be like, okay, true, that is, that can be the case, but this is how I feel. And either way, I feel that that kind of conversation benefits. There's a lot of work with angel investing as well. And I believe that within a group, you can also just divide and conquer from the, initial questions to sourcing deals. I know that is reverse, chronological order, but from sourcing deals to asking the initial questions to sharing due diligence. And then within due diligence, not only do you share it within the members of your group, but you can also, in some cases, share the due diligence with other angel groups among the area, which saves a lot of, time and effort. Everyone in the investment world talks. So I always tell entrepreneurs that, realize that, it's a small world and we know each other. And if we don't now, we will. And, so, but I also belong to two different angel groups for, very specific reasons. Part of it is investment philosophy and culture. It's a lot of work too, and I'm not a full-time angel. I also run an education nonprofit called These Cities, working with middle and high school students from diverse backgrounds, teaching them entrepreneurial problem solving and things of that sort. So, there's, as I mentioned, I've been with Beacon Angels for a very long time. They have a very, they have a particular way of operating, and I like and stay with them and have a great time with them. They're like a family to me. A lot of it is that they're very supportive. I do a lot of scouting and screening and bringing in deal flow, and they're very supportive. A lot of the things that are important to me, and and diverse founders and things of that sort. With TBD Angels, I joined them earlier this year. It's a relatively new group. It's size-wise a lot larger than Beacon, so there's different elements that affect the culture purely based on size. It also operates primarily asynchronously, which also has a number of different interesting aspects to having that. And so their intake flow is actually on a rolling basis instead of sort of on a monthly basis. But they have, not only are they excited about also my work with bringing in diverse founders, but there's also, because of the larger nature of the group, there's also opportunity to diversify pain points identified, because there's more knowledge within that volume. So there's, and then there's also a slightly broader range of where the stage of the entrepreneur is, whether it's in the very, very early stage or whether it's a little bit later on. A lot of it's, related to risk and things of that sort, but you have different cultures related to risk tolerance as well. So those are some of the factors that, because of these different kind of member, attributes in culture and philosophy, investment philosophy, those will also affect what we look for in entrepreneurs, and what entrepreneurs, when they're doing their research and pitching to us, should also be aware of.
Awesome, thank you for that. I think that was super interesting, especially because it seems like a common trend is that a lot of you are a member of like an accredited angel investing group. So I thought that was very interesting. But something that, and just a message for anyone else in the audience, I know that a lot of you guys are sending me questions to the chat, so I will definitely be monitoring these, and probably around like 30 minutes, we're going to transition to doing some of these questions that I'm seeing come up a lot. But one more thing that I wanted to follow up on is, one, so if I'm interested in just finding an angel group in my area, what do you recommend that I do, other than just like a vague Google search? Like what do you think are good things to look for, good things to avoid? And then for those who do not want to join an angel group, what do you best recommend? Is this like a fine thing to do on your own, or do you recommend for those starting to have certain other areas to check in with other investors?
I think there are two kind of common ways that people end up becoming angel investors, and how that branches off is different for everyone. But either either somebody, start off maybe as an individual investing in somebody they know, whether it's a friend or a former colleague or something of that sort. I've heard that that's a common way that people end up, they put in a little bit of money and get kind of hooked on, the process and helping other entrepreneurs. Another common way is just to, if within your network to be invited into an angel group. So those are the two that I'm, I guess aware of.
It's pretty easy to become an angel, right? All you got to do is put something up on LinkedIn that says I'm an angel investor, and people will start reaching out to you. So deal flow is not that challenging, but it's really difficult to be a good angel investor. There are a lot of things to consider, and there's really two ways. And I was an experienced business person. I've been over 30 years in business before I started doing this, and I still got a lot of things wrong early on. It's challenging. There's a lot of things to consider. There's a lot of red flags. I like to tell students there's no right way to do this, but there's plenty of wrong ways. And so being part of a group helps you learn the wrong ways a lot more quickly. So I recommend that as a good place to start for people. Even if you want to branch out, I make some investments on my own now. Another advantage of being part of a group is because I get a lot of deal flow from colleges, universities, friends of friends, etc. It's a good place to send my deals. If I get a health tech company, and I don't know that much about that field, I send it off to Launchpad and people help me. I also, I should mention I do a lot in the area of clean tech. I'm a big believer that the single biggest problem we face as a species is climate change. And so I'm a partner at Clean Energy Venture Group, and we invest in companies that mitigate climate change. And I'm a pretty good business guy, but there's like 30 some partners out of 30 that are better at clean tech than I am. And so I really value all the technical advice I get from that group.
I think the benefit of an angel group also is that, I personally, anybody who knows me knows I'm horrible with paperwork and things of that sort. So as part of a group, I don't have to worry about all the, million different little forms and just the amount of paperwork that has to be done with an angel investment deal. Having a group that is set up to take care of that is, for me, a lifesaver. I probably wouldn't get into it on my own, just purely because of that.
So I'm going to, sorry, Jermaine, feel free to jump in.
One of the themes that I think you can take from some of the things Vicky and Mark and that we've discussed is making sure that whatever group you're joining or whatever network you become a part of, having a group with a diverse set of backgrounds and knowledge is critical to being able to work fast, and to be agile in this environment. You're not going to have months and months and months to make a decision on investing. And so having that platform or having that group of people that allow you to kind of absorb things more quickly will help you in making those decisions.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for that. I'm going to shift a little bit just because I feel like since we're having this conversation via Zoom, it's a global pandemic. I think it's something that probably is on top of all of our minds all the time, but what has changed with COVID? What about angel investing still excites you or doesn't excite you? Is it a good thing to be in during this uncertain time? Would love for you guys to touch on this.
So what excites me about being an angel investor is the opportunity to meet with amazing people solving amazing problems all the time. It's really refreshing, especially, during this time now when things are depressing in lots of ways. Not just a pandemic, but there's lots of depressing news in the world. There's lots of divisiveness. There's a lot of difficulties. To be able to dive into what I see in the angel world, where you have incredible people passionate people, smart people, creative, solving really amazing problems that I never would have thought of. I never even thought of the problem, never mind the solution. And creating great businesses around it, and to be able to jump in and be part of that with those people and to help them get to their mission is really gratifying to me. And it's been something I've really enjoyed in the 10 years I've been doing this. But that in the age of COVID and with all the problems we're having, it's been a real lifesaver to me.
One of the things, this is Jermaine speaking, one of the things I mentioned that comes out of COVID in angel investing and in the investing market generally is you've got both kind of huge inequities, right, coming out of COVID with the haves and the have-nots. But you also have somewhat of a leveling playing ground with respect to how people can access capital and information, whereas pre-COVID, people were using their face-to-face networks. So, you know, if someone went to a very good school or had a network within a particular place, you could meet people in the golf course or, you know, out for lunch. With COVID, it really requires one to, you know, first be hungry, you know, and have that drive, going back to some of the principles that that Mark looks for in a team, but also to look at, you know, turn to tech, right? Turn to the different platforms like LinkedIn, Zoom, and other platforms that will allow you to access more people quickly, because you can't necessarily be meeting face to face. So it's interesting to see both the inequities and the somewhat leveling of the playing field as a result of you know, our ability to have to pivot and do things more online.
Awesome.
That is adorable watching Vicky over there. I do want to add, that is really great, Vicky. So I do want to add that a lot of this is about who you know, and groups help you know a lot of people. If you're an individual angel, it's still really important to get to know the ecosystem, you know, in the area you want to focus. And it may be a geographic area, or it may be a sector area, like clean tech is a great sector, or fintech is something I've been doing a lot of work in. So, you know, getting to know people really helps in terms of decision-making and deal flow.
Yeah, the other thing that, you know, through the pandemic is that when, I mean, I love innovation, right? And I constantly have different ideas always floating in my head, but what is always inspiring as an angel investor is being able to hear other people, you know, when met with adversity or just challenges and, you know, different, you know, constraints, how when backed into a corner, you know, that they rise above it and think about different ways to solve problems, right? And so, you know, I'm also a mom of 3 kids. This is my 5-year-old. So somewhere my husband is going to get her ready for school, and here he comes. So, but you know, I find that, you know, while some of the ways to meet people and network are a little bit different, you know, those were temporary things that might have, you know, paused maybe some meetings or whatnot. The opportunity for deal flow is still very strong, and I think you know, people are still innovating, and people are adapting, right? And I find that there are you know, certain kind of problems that you know, still need to be solved in different ways, and there are new problems that people are coming around to figuring out how to address those. So I find that, you know, kind of like what Mark said, is like there's a lot of depressing things going on, but if we just, you know, in that time frame where I'm talking to an entrepreneur who has an idea to overcome some of these obstacles, it's very invigorating, very inspiring. So I really like it.
Hey, Nyla, can I stick with the theme of problem for a minute? Because I think Vicky and I have something in common where a lot of the problems we like to solve are socially related problems. I do clean tech, but MentorWorks does, you know, education funding for people from low-income backgrounds. And so we, you know, and I think, you know, Vicky's the same way. How you define the problems you want to solve is is really up to you as an angel. But social problems resonate with me. They're important to me. And I believe that in most of my investments, I can make market returns on those. But defining what your set of problems is really interesting. And it starts in areas you're comfortable with, right? For me, it started in clean tech. But if you want to get a portfolio later on as an angel investor, you need to diversify. And so then you wind up wandering into areas you know a little less well. And that's where your network is also really important. And so I'll ask Jermaine and Vicky, what are the kinds of problems that resonate with you? Sorry, Nyla, I don't want to be moderator, but it's just along these lines.
No, I love the question. Thank you.
I'm happy to jump in there. I mean, one of the key areas that I've been focused on, and even as an advisor, but just keenly interested in, is where energy is going. Renewables, what the Main Street calls Energy 2.0, looking at ways to deliver energy in a safer, more efficient, clean way that can be available anywhere at any time. Thinking about all the things that can help the planet as we continue to grow in population and grow in our need to have sustainable energy resources. So that tends to be my focus, having worked in-house for a Fortune 500 company, Schneider Electric, based out of Paris, France. They're keenly focused on, they kind of spun out a venture fund that does a lot of incubating projects that I helped start. And they're keenly focused on, how do we invest in technologies that are going to help the planet, and and make energy, like I said, more accessible, reliable, safe, and efficient and clean.
Yeah, so I'm societal issues, just a lot of different, some of the world's most complex challenges, things that have been around in our systemic issues. There are a lot of things that I personally care about, but I realized a long time ago that I, don't have the bandwidth nor the brain power to address all the different things that I care about. So one of the things that, I've sort of two hats. One of them is as an educator. My goal was to help empower basically leaders of tomorrow from all different, walks of life and perspectives and things of that sort, to be able to have more diverse entrepreneurial leadership, solving different problems from different lenses and different aspects, from anything from tech to, philanthropically, to in public office and things of that sort, and hoping that, that entrepreneurial leadership and that entrepreneurial problem solving will permeate all areas of leadership. But I do think that there are certain things in particular that I do care about. Some of it's shaped by personal experience. So my 5-year-old who sat on my lap, we adopted her a couple years ago. She's visually impaired, a lot of complex vision issues. And so just through that and all her different surgeries and her unique situation, vision tech and vision science is something that I've personally become interested in. I'm still a layman at it, but I'm more well-versed in it and have invested in things related to that. And so that drives it. There's other things that I'm passionate about. I mean, I know a lot about software and things of that sort. So there's definitely pieces of that in my portfolio. But, one of the things that, I feel strongly about is just bringing diverse founders with, diverse problem pain points, either to existing, kind of problems that are not necessarily being met by, kind of current solutions, because, we sort of have like a pretty homogeneous profile of who, founders traditionally are. And so problems are sort of solved in that lens. So even if it's a problem that's being addressed for a certain, persona, there's still a lot that's been left kind of unsolved. The other thing is diversified pain points. So women's health is an area that, probably could use, some more investment. Doesn't matter, who the founder is, but that area of expertise in that field, bring that to light. Obviously a lot of these different areas are not things that I will have subject matter expertise in every one. So being in, diverse angel groups from a functional and, life journey and, technical training are all very important to support some of these goals that I have. And so that's how I choose, which angel groups to allocate my time to, and also how I, screen and scout for entrepreneurs. Because as Mark said, you can put angel investor in your title and people will start coming to you, but you only have a certain amount of time and bandwidth during the day, right? And so, I have, criteria in my mind on what I'm interested in bringing to the group, what I'm interested in focusing on, where I think I have the most value to add, especially at that level, and where I think, the two angel groups that I'm involved in can help support the entrepreneurial journey.
If I could just react, I think the idea of diversity is one that we really need to be very intentional about in this space. And so I'm really glad to see the work that Vicky's doing, and I'm privileged to be on a nice diverse panel here. And so I try to be intentional on diversity in my selection, my company selections, and that's across every kind of factor, right? So gender, race, place of origin, but anything you can think of, areas of expertise. I think diversity makes us better and stronger. And there's some really great organizations around Boston that are working on this topic, and I encourage people who are interested in being angels, like E4All, by the way, which is an accelerator in downtown city Boston and around the state, in low-income neighborhoods. Getting involved with organizations like that is a great way to learn and help at the same time.
Yeah, I spent the majority of my summer at Halogen Ventures, which is a venture capital firm in Los Angeles. And so a lot of what they do, they exclusively fund female founders. So definitely one area of people that is underserved, but there are so many there's so much great research out there about all the other types of founders that currently are underserved. So I really do encourage everyone to look into this. And I mean, there's some great research proving that diverse teams have better return on investment. So definitely encourage anyone interested in getting into this field to definitely educate yourself on both on the funding side and then also on the founder side. But true to my word, I want to ask a couple audience questions just as we are past the half-hour point. So feel free, for anyone who hasn't asked a question yet, feel free to just drop these in the chat. I'm going to do the ones that I see the most commonly pop up. So I'm going to start with one about group. It seems like the audience is very interested in this, but one question that I saw a couple times was, how easy or hard is it to join a group? And if there's a vetting process that someone interested has to go through before they're eligible to join.
So, I'm a member of 3 groups. I don't get involved in the member selection process, but there is some, yes, you can contact the group and the group will start talking with you, probably invite you to a meeting, have you interact with members, partners, whatever they call them, and see if you feel like you're a good fit and they think they're a good fit. I think, oh, my cat is saying hello to everyone. So not quite the same as a cute 5-year-old, Vicky, but it's the best I can do. But I forget my point. I'll leave it to someone else. Apologies.
So I don't think there's necessarily a vetting process. I think it's, and I don't have a huge amount of experience in that, but I think that, tapping into your own network is always helpful for a variety of things that you want to do, right? And so I have brought in, members, just people that I think have, domain expertise and have a great personality that I'd like to work with. And so some of it is really, there's, basically, as long as you're, it's not hard to be an accredited investor. That's just so there's no vetting there, but then it's more of whether there's a cultural and kind of investment philosophy alignment with you in the group, right? Or with a person that you're bringing in the group. So there's a personality piece of it. You know, what do you see as like, do you like the composition of the angel group? So with TBD Angels, it's made up of all operators, operators and entrepreneurs, right? And that's not necessarily true for all angels. And so that's something that I found very appealing. And one of the many factors I took into consideration when joining the group. But a lot of it is I've brought people in and people have referred me in. So you have to kind of look at that and say, what is the investment philosophy at what stage? Because, you know, you only know yourself as far as where within your own investment, how much you want to allocate, where you'd like to allocate, what stage.